Good evening to all of my Girls High sisters, and good evening to all the staff and all of the students, and welcome to our town hall. I'm so glad there's so many of you on, and so many of you that are able to participate this evening. I hope everyone can hear me okay. Let me just make sure that everything is good here with the speakers, right? All right, looks like everything is good. All right, so welcome. I wanted to start off to introduce myself, and for anyone who I have not, who does not know who I am, my name is Azeb Kinder. I am the president of the Alumni Association. I am from the 234 graduating class. That would make me the class of 1990 at Girls High, and I am very happy to be here with you this evening. I wish it was under better circumstances, but by the time we all leave here tonight, I'm hoping that we will all leave here with some really positive feelings, knowing that we have a call to action, knowing that you all have a way of feeling like you can support our alma mater and that some of your questions will be answered, so that moving forward, we all feel like we know what we want to do. So before we move forward, I want to very quickly set just basically one expectation. The only expectation that we have this evening is that we be respectful. And we know that being respectful looks differently to different people. And what that means tonight, what that means for this town hall, is that we know that as Girls High girls, we know we're passionate. We know how we feel about our alma mater. And so all we're asking is that when we come, especially to the Q&A part, is that if we get the chance to engage with one another, is that we just do it in a way that we respect other people's opinions and what they have to say. That's basically it. That's all. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to ask, if it's possible, I think we have the capacity that any board members that are on the call introduce themselves. Um, do we have that capacity? Let's see.
I am searching for the participants. So far, we have 172 participants, and I am looking through the list to see if there are any board members. Charlene Bain.
Mhm.
Introduce yourself, Miss Charlene. Charlene.
We see you on the screen, Charlene. If you could tell us your class number. Oh, it says they're muted. Okay. Okay, well, you know what? We're going to list so we know that we've got Charlene Bain on the call. We've got Chris Sajan Peacock on the call. We've got Joanne Cortez on the call. We've got several other members on the call, and I apologize about that. But if the other folks, the other board members on the call, if you could type your name and your class number into the chat, and if you are a officer, please type that into the chat as well. We'd like for our other alumni and our staff and our students to be able to identify the different members of the board, to know who is in on the call. That would be really helpful. Okay, Jaya, I see. Awesome. Thank you very much. And we know that other board members will be joining. So thank you very much. And we're going to move on. So what I wanted to do, and just quickly, we're not going to take up too much time doing this, but I think it's important because there have been questions just so that you all know what is it exactly the Alumni Association does, the work of the Alumni Association. And we do share this when we do have our annual meetings, but some folks are not able to come to that. And so what we want to do is let you know how we actually do support the school. And so these are just some of the things that we've done recently. You know, obviously over the years, we've done a lot to support the school. financially and otherwise. But some of the things that are happening to support the school include more recently with matching funds provided by Dr. Beverly Ortiz McComb, we raised $20,000 to create a marker space, which was a creative STEM environment for girls to create diverse hands-on projects. The room was ready this year, and the girls have been working in it. Every year, the Alumni Association purchases academic cords for seniors to wear at graduation. The Alumni Association has partnered with the school to present the transition program, which prepares incoming freshmen for the high school experience. And we've given over $75,000 to the school over the last 4 years to create a sustainable summer program. We've given out over last year over $78,000 in awards, prizes, and scholarships to the 267th graduating class. We've provided grants for students pursuing enrichment activities outside of the school, especially for those studying abroad and those entering academic competition, and supports for the robotics team. We've created a faculty wish list, and where faculty and staff, when school district budget cuts made it impossible to purchase needed items. We've subsidized the cost of academic placement examinations taken by qualified seniors. We've engaged in capital projects, done modification to the remedial gymnasium, converting it to a dance studio and the installation of a dance floor, statue restoration and renovations to the library. Over the last 15 years, the Alumni Association has subsidized the salaries of 3 key staff members when those jobs were eliminated due to budget cuts from the School District of Philadelphia. The Winged Victory Legacy Tree unveiling brought 300 alumni back to the school to see in real time the needs of the school and its students, which resulted, of course, in increased alumni engagement. During the 175th anniversary that we celebrated this past year, we got letters of congratulations from the City Council, the Governor, Senator Bob Casey, Vice President Kamala Harris, and President Biden. We hosted a number of semi-centennial anniversary events, which a number of you attended. At the graduation last year, 175 alumni escorted the graduates into the commencement exercises at the Kimmel Center on June 9th to commemorate the 175th anniversary of our alma mater. We had a book club featuring the 12 Tribes of Hattie by Elena Mathis, who was a graduate of the 235th graduating class in 1991, and which included a virtual discussion with her on September 14th. Alumni volunteers have also done some really wonderful things at the school, including having opened the library 1 day a week since 2021. If you don't know, the school library has been shuttered for 12 years due to cuts in funding from the School District of Philadelphia. Alumni have also been ambassadors at school events, including New School Orientation and The Wiz, which was the first all-school production in 10 years. Alumni chaperones have also been there for school-based trips to the Kimmel, Temple, LaSalle, the Man, WHYY Studios, the Science Olympiad, and museum day trips to New York, DC, and also local things. So the Alumni Association has been supporting the school in many ways for many different years. And so we plan on continuing this engagement long past as we're working with the school. And it's not always about money, right? We continuously talk about giving your time and your treasure to the school, but we want to make sure that you all again walk away with this call to action, because we are talking about what's been going on, the challenges at the school. We want you to understand what's happening so that you know how you as alumni can support, can reactively, but also proactively address those challenges, what you can do to address those challenges. I saw Chris, Chris, you had your hand up. Did you want to address something directly? I apologize.
I know people are complaining that they cannot unmute and they are not able to see the gallery. Again, just an explanation. This is being presented as a webinar because our regular um, account can only accommodate up to 100 people. So as a webinar, it is kind of controlled, and I don't see any other options in the webinar settings to be able to allow people to see the gallery, nor how I can allow them to um, speak and chat. So if anyone else has any knowledge or expertise, please drop that in the Q&A, and I would love to have the guidance to see if that can be changed.
And please continue to drop things in the chat. We're going to try to in the Q&A is where you can drop things because we can see that. And so that can be used as the chat function for the night. And so we will have we will have board members looking at the Q&A so that we can answer questions that are put into that option. Okay. And Sharon, I could just very quickly, your question about recruitment efforts, absolutely, you can support the recruitment efforts. While that is not one of the particular calls to action that we have tonight, one of the ways you can do that is to please give us your contact information or make sure that it's updated in Alma base. But also, if that is a specific way that you want to support, we always need help with recruitment, because when that time comes, and we'll talk a little bit about admission, but one of the things that we have always had success with that we need help with is when we do specific and targeted recruitment for students. We always, that has been something that has always been successful, but we do not have the woman power to be able to do it. And so if we have alumni that are willing to actually physically help and go out and do the recruitment, that is a huge help for us when it comes to increasing the number of students applying to the school. So thank you for that question. Yes. All right. So I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the challenges that that we are facing, and which is how we got to where we are, and before we go on to talk about how we can address those challenges. Okay. So give me 1 second.
I am in the settings, and we cannot change the webinar settings now.
All right.
Mr. Gordon has just asked if he would like us to use the Zoom from the school district. And obviously they have more bandwidth than we do. Mr. Gordon, if you would drop in your link, and I can share the link in Answer Live if we would like to rejoin there.
Okay, so if everyone can, if we're going to do that, if we give us a moment, if we're going to do that, we're going to, let's see, give us 1 moment.
And in answer to the question, there are 281 members on the call right now.
So folks in the answer live are asking to stay here because they think we're going to lose people. Okay. I think that, yeah, I think we're going to stay. We are going to stay here, I think, because there is a chance that we will lose people. So we will stay here. And again, if people can continue to put things into the Q&A, and we will, no, people are asked to put things into the Q&A, not into the chat, because the chat is disabled. Yes, thank you. Okay, so let's go move on. And again, we're going to continue to have board members looking at the Q&A, and then we're going to be able to, when it gets to that point where we're looking at the Q&A point towards the end, we will start answering those questions in there. But right now, we just want to talk a little bit about some of the challenges as to how we got to where we are briefly. And then I'm going to introduce you to a couple people who are going to talk a little bit more. And then we're going to talk about ways to support. So, one of the reasons why we are where we are is because of the reduced number of students that we have in the school. Many of you know this. Many of you are aware that we do have a much lower enrollment than we have had in a long time, right? We know that for many of us, if you were at Girls High in the 70s or the 80s or even the 90s, we had class sizes of 400, 500. That has diminished significantly over the years, to classes of 100, to classes of very small numbers. We were very fortunate when we got our last principal, who, when she came in, had implemented a number of things, including interviews, which we were slowly seeing a rise in the number of applicants and the number of girls that were being accepted to the school. Unfortunately, with the implementation of the lottery, which when that happened, it took away the autonomy of the principal to do certain things. For example, to interview, okay, to do things like make certain selections of students. It decreased the enrollment and it forced teacher transfers. And I want to make this clear that this is not just happening at Girls High. This is happening at magnet, at special admission schools across the city. But because we were already seeing decreased numbers of students applying to the school, right? We were hit very hard. So you've got the implementation of the lottery. You've got the increased number of charter schools, right? That had come into the city, and you've got the increased number of special admission schools. So these things happening simultaneously, the charter schools and the increased number of special admission schools had been happening for years. The implementation of the lottery just started a few years ago. Those things all happening with these and impacting this forced teacher transfer. This is how it happened that we have this smaller number of students. This is how it happened that we've got these forced teacher transfers. And then if you'll notice, those of you that had read the article, and those of you, we've got teachers on the call, we've got some students, the teachers that were going to be forced transfer all of the teachers are vital to the school. Please understand that. But the teachers that we were potentially going to be losing were really, really vital, because these were teachers of IB classes, of AP classes, who had brought in really, really important programs. And so, in addition to having lowered enrollment, one of the things for special admission schools like Girls High, one of the ways that we get girls excited about the school is what we offer. IB is a very important program that we offer. Our AP classes is something very important that we offer. If we can't offer these programs, we are not competitive with these other schools. Single sex education is already under fire. And so if you can't then offer these things, we can't compete with other schools. And so these things have led to the challenges that we're facing. Of course, a lot of this again was compounded by the fact that our principal was unduly removed from the school in June due to the incident that we are all familiar with. It was unfair, it was unnecessary, and we were stuck with a substitute principal that unfortunately did not know our school, did not know the history of our school, did not understand what was needed. And so we've been operating for almost an entire school year with a temporary administration, and that has really hampered the progress that we've needed at the school. And so it's been this perfect storm of things that have happened that have gotten us to where we are. And so and again, what's happening at Girls High is not unique. And while these things are happening at other schools, obviously we're concerned with our alma mater. The Alumni Association has, and when we talk about the things that ways to support, it's going to be really important that our alumni hear certain things, because one of the things that's important is communication. And so we've heard a lot, and I'm just being very transparent with you. We've heard people say, but we didn't know this. And so one of the things that we have to share with you is that if your contact information isn't up to date, or if you're not going onto if you're not, if you don't have, profiles on Alma Base, and if you're not updating things, we can't get you certain information. And so when we talk about ways to support, please know that these are just some things that it's important for you to do, so we can make sure that we're disseminating this information to you. So that you can support, so that you know ways to support, so that you know what's going on with your alma mater, with our alma mater, so that it's not something that is a surprise, right? We want to be prepared. We want to be in the trenches so that we're able to fight for our schools, so that we're able to do what's necessary to make sure we're giving the best support to our school. So what I'd like to do now is I'd like to actually introduce to you the president of the Parent Teacher Daughter Association, who was actually featured in the article, who is the parent of a current 11th grade student who was also featured in the article. And I just want to, before I introduce Deanda, I want to really give kudos to her, because the work that she's done through the PTDA has been absolutely amazing. She has been a staunch advocate for not just her daughter. She's not just working for her daughter, she is working for the school. And she's been a partner with the Alumni Association every step of the way. And we cannot thank her enough for the hard work that she's done. So Deanda, if you thank you for being here. Thank you for everything that you've done. I want to give you the floor so you can share your ideas and your thoughts with the Alumni Association, and how we can support you in the work that you're doing and partner with you and the Parent Teacher Daughter Association.
Deanda is rejoining. I think she just got kicked off. Deanda, are you on? Ah, okay. She's having a little wonky audio connection. There she is. Deanda, can you hear us?
Close to the camera. All right, I'll take off because it's a little slow. Okay. Can connection is not great. Hello?
We can hear you now. Great. Perfectly.
Okay, so I'll keep my camera off. I apologize for the interruption. Okay, so thank you all for being here. It is so heartening to see almost 300 people on this call who care as much about the future of this school as I have come to care about it. I've seen what it's done for my daughter and her growth into a young woman, and I want that for every girl in Philadelphia who wants to become a woman who leads. I want that for every girl. I want that to continue for as long as there's a city of Philadelphia. So um, there are a number of issues that have like Azeb said led up to this problem. I want to emphasize to everybody on the call, as a current parent, I can attest that this is not a girls' high problem. Girls' High is an excellent school. It has excellent teachers. It has excellent students. This is not a girls' high problem. This is a systemic problem. I believe somewhat inadvertently caused by policy decisions that were made under some pressure from activists and legal issues that led to a policy that doesn't allow us, and frankly, it affects most of the special admit schools, except for the select few who are highly favored. Um, it affects most of the special admit schools, and it artificially restricts enrollment, and it's starving the schools of resources. And unfortunately, we have not gotten the support from the district that we, frankly, as one of the oldest institutions continuously operating in this city, as an institution that has given to this city some of its most prominent female leaders in practically every field that you could think of, I would think we were owed more support from the district, from our politicians. And I think part of the problem is that a lot of people think of Girls High and they think that nothing could possibly be wrong with Girls High because it is such a good school and it has such an amazing legacy. And so they put Girls High, it's like the child who never causes a fuss, no one ever pays attention to them. And meanwhile, that child is, crying out for in need, but we're so used to dealing with the problem children that we're just neglecting the um, the good child. And so we need people to make it known that we are not willing to allow our representatives, both elected and appointed, to neglect our school, to neglect our daughters, to neglect our legacy. We will not allow it. We need to make it known to them, both in writing. We need to speak out through whatever channels we have available to us. We need to connect with each other. We need to talk to each other. And we need to work together. We need to work on ways to address both the school board, address the superintendent directly. We need to talk to every person in here is represented by several elected officials from local, state, federal on up. And we need to start talking to those people about how they can support a school that, and I don't care where you live. There's probably no part of this country that hasn't been touched by Girls High graduates going on and going into leadership roles across the world. So that's kind of what we're trying to do is engage both our alumni and our students in a coordinated effort to petition our representatives for redress of our grievances and to let them know that they are not allowed to neglect us. They will not neglect us. They will not ignore us. You will support us, or we will no longer support you. And that goes for elected and appointed representatives. And we need to start being loud because unfortunately, it seems like that's the only way anything gets done. And so I am not a public person. And so to see my face on in the newspaper is not the most comfortable thing for me. I will be very honest and transparent with that. So, but I did it because we cannot allow this to go on another year quietly and just talk about it amongst ourselves. We need to talk publicly about how the policies that are in place are not working and they are starving our school artificially of resources, and it needs to stop because without Girls High, there will be generations of young women in Philadelphia who will not be able to take advantage of the amazing culture that this school has and the opportunities that are open to women who have the confidence instilled in them the way that these girls that I see, my daughter and her friends, the confidence that I see in them instilled by their teachers, instilled by the fact that every girl around them is leading in some way, you know, and we can't allow that to be discontinued. So I'll yield the floor.
Thank you, Fernanda. Um, Mr. Gordon, you are also a panelist. I'm asking you to unmute. There are several questions in the Q&A that need an explanation. One is, can you explain the lottery system? And can you also explain leveling and the forced teacher transfers? But before you start, I just want to address the elephant in the room. Several people have stated that this is an embarrassing webinar, and that is one of the ways that you guys can give back. If you have the technical expertise and knowledge, we welcome it. We're not a very technologically advanced team here. So if that's one of the things that you can do to help your alumni association, please get in touch with me and I would appreciate any help that you can share. This is our first webinar. Again, we explained that our regular account can only accommodate up to 100 people. And we have upgraded to a webinar so that we could accommodate up to 500 people. Obviously, webinars aren't something that we do. So we don't have that deep bench of knowledge. And if you can help us in the future, I greatly appreciate it. And now I yield and turn the video over to Mr. Gordon, Assistant Superintendent of Learning Network 1, of which Girls High is in his network.
Good evening. Again, thank you all for allowing me the opportunity and space to be here. I said I'm not here to make any grand speeches. I'm just here to answer any questions and to really reinforce my commitment and support to Girls High, to the Girls High community, to make sure that Girls High continues to be one of, if not the premier high schools we have here in the city of Philadelphia. Certainly the premier single-sex school here in really the tri-state area. And so, if you don't mind, I'm going to take one question at a time. So, so I believe the first question was really about the lottery. And so we have a number of things. This is not like the official. This is Mr. Gordon explaining to you what my perspective is being that I just came out of the principalship recently. So I kind of have certain views on what's happening. So right now we have I think our President Hinton talked about, this perfect storm that's happening. We also seem to be having something like that happening with enrollment too, where you have a couple things that are taking place. One, there's an overall declining enrollment that's taking place in the public school sector overall. So as enrollment declines overall, obviously there's less students that we're competing over. Number two, so we have students who are entering the lottery, and so the lottery system was changed recently because there were some legal challenges that came to the attention of the school district, which talked about that the equity of access in the lottery to some of our criteria-based schools were in question. And so as a result of that, the school district had to change from less subjective strategies to more objective strategies. So, and a lot of those objective strategies meant that you identify a criteria that students had to obtain, looking at certain grades, attendance, test scores, things of that nature. I think this change, as President Hinton mentioned, did in fact change the discretion that a lot of principals had in determining which students would be a great fit for some of our programs, but also I think that it took away the discretion of principals to make judgment calls on students who may not necessarily meet the criteria, but have shown grand potential, and principals had the discretion to be able to give students chances, even if they didn't necessarily meet all the criteria requirements that were subject to the school. So so these things were all taking place at this time, which and unfortunately, the last piece was that you had lower numbers of students qualifying to meet those criteria as well. So I think that and that's a conversation that we are currently having with our K through 8 schools, identifying where are some of the obstacles that are lowering the numbers of students who are qualified to be in the lottery to actually fill out all of our high quality seats that we have, particularly in Network 1. And so this grand, this perfect storm of items really has caused a number of challenges, including several schools were hit with low enrollment numbers over the course of the last couple of years. So I know that right now I think it's the class of 26, I think it is, which is challenged by the fact that there's only about 88 students that are currently in that class. And so you can imagine that the expectation of having a class of 200 or more students, and then unfortunately you're down to about 88, makes it a huge challenge for enrollment purposes. And so with enrollment going down, unfortunately, teacher allocations, the number of teachers that you have in the building are solely based on the number of students you have available in your building, because those students have a certain number of classes that they have to take, and those class offerings determine how many teachers you'll need in order to be able to meet the criteria for those students to be on track for graduation. And so that explains the the enrollment challenge that we have. The lottery process is that there's a particular criteria that students have to meet, and so we've had some challenges, identifying, and this is not, like I said, not just a girls' high, but across the board, identifying enough students to fill out the high quality seats that we currently have available in many of our schools. So is there enough? Next question? I didn't.
Mr. Gordon, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to go on record as saying that you have been an ally. You have been a voice. No, you have been an ear who has listened to our voice. You have always responded quickly and honestly to any question any of us have. And I just want to applaud you for that this evening. And I know that Deanda and Azeb both concur.
Oh, well, thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, and at times, I don't know if I've always been responding as quickly as I need to, but I will say you guys have exercised such amazing patience as we work through a lot of these issues. I do want to say that despite the fact that, and just to kind of give people a sense of what's happening, because I wanted to make sure that I pulled it up during the course of this conversation. So if you go back to as recently, so in 21, in 2021, 2022, and 2023, the student projections were well over 800. And so for 22, 23, the Girls High was projected to have a number of students, as close to 900, so 897. So, and then now you start to see the effect of um, the lottery process taking effect, along with these enrollment challenges of more students unfortunately either moving out of either moving out of Philadelphia or moving into the private Catholic and charter school sectors. And so you see the enrollment decline from 897 down to 724 this past school year. And then going into next year, where the expectation is that the enrollment is going to drop down to 605 for next school year, which unfortunately was the basis of why there were so many teacher reductions that took place this year. I think as high as 6 last I checked. So, and that reduction also included the reduction of an assistant principal, a reduction of a climate manager, and also the reduction of our mental health support program within the school. So fortunately, what I've been able to do is to advocate in collaboration with President Hinton and also with Ms. Wilson. In our collaborations, we've been able to restore most of those positions. We restored the assistant principal, we restored the climate manager, we restored the mental health program, and out of these 6 teachers that were scheduled to be cut, we were able to restore 3 of them. And so with all that, we are, in accordance to the enrollment projections that we have for next school year. Girls High technically is, has an over appointment of staff members in line with the number of students that we currently have in the building. So we have enough to make sure that we maintain our roster. We also wanted to make sure, and I'm sharing that with you now, President Hinton, because what I didn't get a chance to tell you and Ms. Wilson was that those last 2 requests were approved today, as a matter of fact. So Mr. Kisich, that the kids have advocated for, will remain, and we're adding a Spanish teacher as well to make sure that we continue the robustness of our language programming as well.
That's very encouraging. Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Also have another question. Even with the lottery, it seems our selection criteria is lower than other special admission schools. Can you explain why the criteria was lowered?
That I can't explain. That was actually done prior to my arrival, so I do apologize. But I think if I had to guess, and this is just my speculation, so the enrollment challenges that are happening in many of our schools is also being reflected in in relation to lowering the enrollment requirements so that there's an opportunity to get more students qualified to get into a lot of these schools. So we are challenged by the fact that enrollment in Philadelphia appears to be, in my opinion, so please don't hold me to it. You can tell the superintendent that I said it because this is what I'm thinking based on the numbers. That the enrollment challenges and the shrinking challenges that are happening overall in the school district is making it more and more fierce, the competition that we have over the limited number of students that we have that qualify for our seats. And so in order to be able to get more students in, some of the schools had to reconsider their enrollment standards in order to make sure that they have enough students to fill the quality seats they currently have in front of them. So I know a number of schools were not, happy about having those conversations, but I know that we wanted to do our very best to reach a happy medium to make sure that we had enough students filling these seats so that we can make sure that the school and the programs associated with those schools remain viable.
Also, another question, what was the intention, was the intention of the lottery system that it would increase diversity at special admit schools? And has it accomplished that? Or has it done more harm than good? As an aside, I wanted to share what I've shared before and broadly, that Girls High was a prime example of students from having a diverse population and a high percentage of students from those very same zip codes that were being promoted to in the lottery system. We were already doing it. So I know that that's a question and a little editorial commentary from me.
Sure, and please, well, we're having a conversation. All of this is editorial, so because I'm also like I'm still wearing my principal hat somewhat and remembering the experiences that I've had recently. And I would say that it really comes down. It depends on the perspective that you have on the process. I agree. I think that in many schools, I think many schools were already paying attention to that and creating that diversity. And then I think in some schools they needed some additional help because that diversity was something that was very challenged for them to create in their buildings. So, do I think that it's created more diversity? I think it's done more for diversity than not. I do believe that. I think that has it done more harm than good. I think that that's a personal opinion. I think that that's something. Um, our hopes is obviously that it's helped in making sure that we as a district focused on those most vulnerable zip codes around the city are given opportunity. Those students in those zip codes are given multiple opportunities to have access to criteria-based schools, and I think that's important. I think that's an important concept, and we'll see as the years to come how beneficial that's going to be for our students.
Thank you. I am I'm going through the questions now and looking for additional questions for you.
Take your time.
While I am looking,
Actually, I have a question in the meantime. Can you please share? I'm sorry. Can you
Yeah.
share more about the principal selection process?
Sure. So I know that so hopefully my request is that some additional communication will be happening very soon to outline exactly the principal selection process in terms of when it's going to exactly start, when it will end, and then what will happen in between. The goal right now is to make sure that we have the opportunity of collaborating on a 9-person committee to take a look at reviewing resumes and making recommendations to the superintendent's office as to which candidates that have applied to Girls High are the candidates that we as a committee are interested in having being considered. And so the goal is to have this done before the end of the school year so that that person can have an opportunity to visit the school, transition with the current principal in place in preparation for taking the seat next year. And so right now they're still solidifying the dates. I'm looking at maybe the third week in May where the final selection process will take place. And then the first week in June, the hopes is that the new principal will be announced. The first full week in June. I think they're still working on that date. But I think the first full week in June was the idea, is trying to have the principal announced and go from there. So that's currently underway right now, and so we will be contacting those individuals who have been identified to be part of the committee. I know a number of people submitted interest forms, so we're finalizing that review, and we're going to take a look at those individuals that be a part of the selection committee, And then we will get started as early as next week to have a conversation about what the next steps are going forward. So, and that's where we are. So the principal hiring process is underway. And, and I hope that my role is just to, I want to make sure that I send the message that I want the communities really involved in these conversations because, I want to be, I think that the district has meddled enough in a sense. And I want to make sure there's a good match that the community feels good about. And so I want to make sure that we pick the right person, and hopefully there'll be opportunities for me to be able to identify people that that I'm familiar with, and I can get background information, and we can have those conversations about who's the best fit. And the committee will make three recommendations. The recommendations will be ranked 1, 2, 3 as our first, second, and third choice. What'll happen is that after our recommendations will be sent to the associate superintendent, the deputy superintendent, and then eventually to Dr. Watlington, who will make the final decision.
There is not a question, but a comment. My experience as a college faculty member is that GHS grads are a cut above the traditional college students. Every GHS grad has been exceptional in my courses that I teach at the School of Nursing at LaSalle University. Their ability to do well in college needs to be reiterated in our recruitment efforts. And that's Joan Frizzell.
That's amazing. So, I mean, I think those kind of comments are important because we definitely want to make sure that we have the opportunity to select someone who can come in and work with the community to identify a big vision for the school. I think that's really important. I think someone who can come in and actually identify with the students. I think someone who, will care for them, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. So individuals that are willing to really like engage with them on a daily basis, social, emotionally, and academically as well. And so, just some of the things that I picked up in our conversation with students that I've had, over the course of the school year, and that which I had with students as recently as last Friday. So we're, actually, was that Monday? Monday, excuse me, on Monday. So yeah, so I think those comments are just amazing that we should definitely make sure that we keep in mind as we begin to identify, who's going to come in and lead Girls High into the next phase of its greatness.
And that leads me to also another accolade for you. Not only did you listen to the Alumni Association and the PTDA, you regularly check in with the girls, and you have established a good rapport with them as an honest and truthful mentor. And I can actually say you are a mentor to them. And we thank you again.
Oh, you're too kind. Checks in the mail.
I also wanted to add that also working with us on all of these issues is Councilwoman at Large, Catherine Gilmore Richardson, who has been an indefatigable champion for Girls High, as Mr. Gordon can so attest to.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gordon. Again, just to state again what Marcia said, you've been a partner, you've been a support for us. You've been the only person in 440 who honestly has been in our corner, and we wouldn't be where we are right now without you, answering our questions, following up with us, supporting us. We're really grateful. We're grateful that you're here tonight, and we know that you'll continue to partner with us. So thank you. We really appreciate you so much.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you. So we have about 35 minutes left. What we'd like to do now is we said that we want you to walk away with a call to action. We want you to walk away knowing what you can do moving forward to make some changes, to actually have your voice heard. And so here's ways we can um, make a change. So we're going to give some tangible ways. We also, so um, as we give you these things, as we tell you these things, if you have any questions after we share these things with you, you can reach back out to us. You can reach back out to Marcia Hinton, our executive director. You can reach back out to me. You can reach back out to individual board members. But please, 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 if you have questions, comments, or concerns, please do not walk away from tonight saying you're still confused. If you're still confused, ask us. We will walk you through the process. That's what we're here for. But know that this is just a starting point. There are other things you can do, but these are some tangible ways that you, excuse me, can support the school as members, as alumni, as students, as teachers. One way is submitting letters of support for the school to the superintendent, to the Board of Education, to be read into testimony at Board of Education meetings. If you don't know what to put into the letter, let us know. We've got templates, we've got things we can help you with that you can do. You can submit those letters individually, that's fine. However, if we submit them in bulk, right? If we submit 50 letters at a time, 60 letters at a time, it makes a difference, right? It shows that we're that we have a united voice. So if you submit them electronically to our executive director, she will submit them in bulk to, if you submit the copies to her, she will submit them and they will be read into testimony at Board of Education meetings. The April meeting is coming up, April 25th, I believe, but we'll get that date to you. You can sign up to speak
Yes,
in
April
person.
25th.
April 25th,
Sign
yes.
up is April 22nd.
You can, what's the date to sign up? It opens up? I'm sorry. Say that again, Deanda.
It opens up April 22nd, Monday.
Right. So to sign up, you sign
Monday,
up
4 p.m., April 22nd.
You sign up online to speak in person or virtually. So it doesn't matter. You do not have to live in Philadelphia. You can speak virtually at the Board of Education meetings, and we can provide you with talking points. If you don't think that works, it makes a difference. We promise you, we have anecdotal evidence that it makes a difference when you sign up to speak at the Board of Education meetings. It makes a difference. You can update your profile and contact information. I know, and I've been taking notes while folks were talking. I've been looking at the Q&A. People are saying, how do we do that? We're going to tell you, we're going to show you how to go in. It's called Alma Base. People are saying they haven't heard about it. We've been advertising it for months. Alma Base is our new site that we're using. It's how you update your profile information and your contact information. And this is how you can receive news and updates. You can go to the website and get it, but you can receive news and updates. But in order to receive that, you don't have to have a Facebook. A lot of people don't have social media, and that's fine. But if you want to receive things, we have to have your updated contact information. If you haven't received news from this association, it's because we don't have it. You don't have to be a paid member of the Alumni Association to update your profile. We like it when you're a paid member because your dues help us to do things, but you don't have to be a paid member to update your profile. Join the Alumni Association because your membership does help us provide the support to the school for students and teachers and for programs that have been eliminated by the School District of Philadelphia budget cuts. We have literally, this is not our purpose, but we have paid salaries, right, for very important positions when they've been eliminated. When our students who are our future alumni, right, we're fostering those relationships. We have, when they've gone overseas, we've paid for those things. We've purchased calculators for our students. We can only do that when we have our alumni supporting the school. And it may seem like a small thing. Just so you know, our dues are going to be going up soon, but our membership dues are not that expensive. But that donation on a regular basis helps us to not only support you, but helps us to support the school. Very, very important. Money doesn't solve everything, but it helps. It very much helps. Time, talent, treasure. We need those things. Mentoring current students. That's going to be how you invest in our girls. Again, they are our future alumni. This does not, again, thanks to technology, and sadly enough, COVID showed us this. It does not have to, everything doesn't have to be done in person. Gone are the days when your involvement in the school was dependent on you being in Philadelphia. Perfect example. I served as president for 3 years while I lived in Washington, D.C. Okay. You don't have to be in Philadelphia to be involved in the school. You don't have to live in Philadelphia to mentor the girls. If you want our school to thrive, if you want to see our students thrive, serve as a mentor. Our alumni are our best marketing tool for our school. Okay. Not only for our current students, but that's how we get students to come to our school. But mentor our girls. That's what they need. We have a wonderful mentorship committee. If you submit your name, we will get you involved. Mentor our students. One of the ways you can mentor them is even right now, and we can connect you with Deanda, with the PTDA, is help prep them, because our students are going to be testifying at the upcoming Board of Education monthly meetings. So again, yes, we love it when you donate money. That does help, but we need your time and we need your treasure, right? And those are the tangible ways that you can help us deal with what's happening at our school. Our decreased enrollment is not because our school is still the gem it was when you graduated in 1990, when you graduated in 1980, when you graduated in 1970 and 1960. It is still that gem, right? It's just become a little more hidden, right? People just don't know. We're still offering those amazing things. We may actually be offering more amazing things now, but what we have to do is that we have to get the word out. And we have to not only have our voices amplified externally, we have to amplify our voices internally. It's great that there are 291 folks on this call, but do you know how many living alumni we have around? Thousands. Okay. So for everybody on this call, please call your friends. Call your girls that you're on your text chain with, right? Call your girls that you talk to on Sunday mornings or Sunday afternoons that you call to check on, right? Your classmates, your old friends, your bestie from high school. Let them know what's going on, because yes, we need 440 to know how valuable Girls High is. We need our local politicians to know how valuable Girls High is. We need our state representatives to know how valuable Girls High. But do you know who else we need to remind how valuable Girls High is? The girl that sat next to you in Mr. Oglesby's class, right? In history class. We need the sister that sat next to you in Miss Tittle's class when we were square dancing, when she was doling out zeros, right? We need to remind those people how valuable Girls High is and was. We have to reinvigorate our alumni. One of the questions in the chat was, is Masterman experiencing the same things that we are, Masterman and Central? Not to the same degree. You know why? Because those alumni, their voices are amplified. They're relentless. They are relentless. And I don't know, and I can't speak for Mr. Gordon, but I have a feeling at 440, they see those Masterman parents coming, they see those Masterman alum coming, they're like, oh, here they come again. They don't want to hear it, right? That's how we should be. They should see us coming and go, oh crap, here come those chicks from Broad and Olney again. That's how we want them to feel. We want them to go, Broad and Olney again. Yep, here's Broad and Olney again. That's how we have to be. We have to remember who we are. We are Girls High girls. You can tell a Girls High girl, but you can't tell her much. Remember that? That's who we are. And that's who we have to remember to be. Okay, so I know some folks, but you can't, you have your hands raised, but you can't chat. Okay, so I want to there were some questions in the chat. We have some time for Q&A, and I wanted to go over some of the questions. I invite some of the board members also, if they feel so inclined, as well as Marcia, to answer some of the questions. I was only able to get them up to like 8 o'clock, so there's some that have come in. Are single-sex schools on decline? Absolutely. 100%. Single-sex schools have been on decline. As you know, there's only 2 public single-sex girls' schools in the country. But yes, single-sex schools in general are on the decline. We were fortunate. We met with the head of the International Girls School Coalition, who is very eager to partner with us to work on some things. Kathleen, can't remember her last name. And so we are going to be, Marsha's unmuted. She's going to tell me her last name.
Kathleen Osborne.
Kathleen Osborne. And they have a lot of resources, and we're going to be working with them to see how we can, because they have a lot of experience working with girls' schools. And so we're going to be working with them to see how we can flesh this out. How can we remind people about the importance and the significance and the strength of girls' schools? And I'm going to go through some of these fast because I just want to try to get through as much as possible. And some of these, maybe we'll be able to answer some other places. Where is the article? It was behind a paywall. So if you don't have the Inquirer, but we do have it as a PDF.
Looking for questions to answer.
Say that again. I'm sorry. What'd you say, Deanna? Repeat that. I'm sorry. Okay. The article was behind a paywall, but we do have it as a PDF.
Sorry, I was just going to say, while you're looking, I'm sorry, my internet is.
Okay. We have it as a PDF. We will post the article, so you'll have that. What recruitment strategies and marketing have been utilized previously to encourage students to consider Girls High? One of the most effective things that has happened. There was a wonderful staff member who recently passed away, Miss Richardson. She was amazing. She would go around to the schools in the city. I know this because she would come to this charter school that I taught at, and she was a one-woman band, and she would go around and she would meet with the 7th and 8th graders. And that was, to me, one of the most successful strategies, because, you know, the girls would clamor to apply. But that is one of the most effective strategies, is actually going into these middle schools or these K-8 schools and meeting with the 7th and 8th grade students. The challenge is we do not have enough human resources to do that. And so earlier, like I was saying, if we had alumni who could, and this does require folks to be in person. Now, we may be able to set up some virtual things, but an in-person alumni to do this, to be able to hit these K-8, these schools, that would be so very helpful. If you are able and willing to do this in the fall, that would be so very helpful to let us know your capacity to do that. So that's one thing. Politicians and leaders to engage, to get support. I want to reiterate Catherine Gilmore Richardson, who is can't remember what her class number is, but she has been one of our staunchest, most amazing advocates for the school. She is in city council right now, the youngest member of city council, I believe. But at any of your local city council people, those are the people to talk to, your state representatives. I mean, basically the people in your district, right? You talk to them, let them know that you are advocating for your high school, make your voices known, email them, write them letters, let them see your faces and let them know that you're advocating for your school. What can alumni do who live outside of Philadelphia do? Again, mentoring does not have to be in person. That's a huge thing. So obviously donating your to the school financially is very helpful. But also even when we do these things like these letter writing, when we are submitting letters to the Board of Education, you don't have to be local to do that. You need to, submitting those letters can come from any alum anywhere. That kind of thing is helpful. So but make sure that you stay engaged. Make sure all of your contact information is up to date so that when any opportunities come up to support the school, again, very few alum actually come into the school, and I'm not discouraging that, but so many opportunities come up that can happen virtually that don't have to necessarily happen inside the school. Those opportunities are all around us. But it means that you need to stay engaged so that we can contact you and you can contact us so we can let you know those things. Da, 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 da. Yeah, the school, the chances of the school being turned, most schools, they don't, most schools in the city, and Mr. Gordon could speak to this more than me, but schools don't usually get turned into charters unless they're closing and then I don't know if they magically turn into charters, but that's not something I think that the school district usually looks into. And it's probably not something because, a charter, the longevity of a charter isn't guaranteed in this, and it's not probably necessarily something we would necessarily want. Girls High went into the lottery system like all the other schools. It wasn't hand chosen to go into the system. It went in just like all the other schools. The status of the principal, Mr. Gordon let us know that. Um, the how do we the idea of campaigning to attract the students to choose Girls High, again, it's a matter of recruitment. It's a matter of how we partner with the school to do recruitment. Again, any of this that we're talking about, it's not the Alumnae Association doing it, it's how we partner with the school, which is why it's so important that the next principal that comes in is somebody that we're engaged in that process, and hopefully we're able to influence that decision. And several people have put in the chat, it should be an alum. Yeah, we're hoping it's an alum. Yeah, absolutely. Because they know us, they know the school. The truth of the matter is we lucked out with Lisa. She was a one of a kind. She was an alum of an all-girls school, not of Girls High. But we just kind of got lucky with her. But yeah, we're hoping that the next one is a Girls High alum. And what does a lack of someone said, what does lack of something like a librarian have on low enrollment? Again, the lack of a librarian, that's a system-wide thing. There's just very few librarians in the entire school district, period. That wasn't a Girls High thing. That was just the school district. There's just few librarians. So we have a campaign now where we are raising money for the library, and part of that will be a staffing issue that we're going to be raising. So keep your eye out. You'll be hearing more about that because it'll be very much a 21st century library. It won't be an old school library. It will be very much something for the new generation. It's not our old school library, but we will be we will be looking at how we're going to be staffing that as part of the fundraising campaign. I just want to answer this question because will the school district ever acknowledge the decision to pull the principal was a wrong decision? They will never acknowledge that. I'll bet my next year's worth salary that they'll never in a million years acknowledge that. So anyway, okay. Do we have language and photos that alumni can use to get the word out via social media? I think this was about recruitment. I can't remember if this is that, but again, when the new principal gets hired and the Alumni Association will meet with them pretty early on. And when we start talking about recruitment, we will work with them to see because again, we have to follow their lead, but hopefully it will be a good partnership, and we'll talk to them and find out what direction they want to go in. And when we find that out, and hopefully by then we will have enough alumni who want to be engaged in the process, we will share with you all what that will look like, and and maybe there will be some graphics and some kind of media or some kind of marketing materials involved that we can share. So, and I'm sorry, I'm going really fast, but I'm trying to get to as many questions as possible. Deanda, you have your hand raised. You wanted to share something.
Thank you. And I'm sorry about my previous internet issues.
Okay.
I wanted to share two things. First, we are trying to encourage the girls to sign up to testify at the next two school board meetings. We are hoping to have a workshop with them. We were hoping to have it at the school. I made a request of the principal. She has yet to respond to me as far as whether or not she would allow us to use school space to hold this workshop. If they're, I will try to call her again, but we may need some support from the people on this call to let her know that this is a good use of school resources and it is an educational experience for our girls. And we want to have a workshop where they can both sign up for the meeting and get help with their written testimony. And if there are any volunteers who have your clearances who can come in and help them with their written testimony, which they could submit or sign up to speak, then that would be appreciated. The goal is to have it 3:30 to 5 p.m. at the school on Monday, April 22nd. The second ask is that we would like to rally in front of 440 before the next board meeting at 3:30 p.m. Again, like I said earlier, we need to start being loud. The way that people apparently get things done with this current administration is they show up, they call the news, and they make a show of force, and they are loud. And so we need to do the same. I'm asking all parents, students, and alumni who can come on Thursday, April 25th, to 4:40 before the board meeting at 3:30 p.m. To show up and show this superintendent that we are not willing to accept any cuts to our school. We want a long-term sustainability plan for our school, and we want the district to support the rebuilding of our school. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm trying
Is
to,
that-
yes,
There's a question that came in earlier that I'd like to address.
yes.
Someone wanted to know, is there a program that is specifically geared to incoming ninth graders like Central has that prepare them for life at Central? Yes, Girls High has what was formerly called, well, it's still called the transition program. Now it's referred to as Elevate 215, of which Lisa Misi started in 2020. And it has been funded by 3 different sources: grants that she had acquired, the Alumni Association, and Philadelphia Partnership of Schools. I can honestly say that yes, the program is still going on, but Central has always gotten the shine, even though we have similar programs. So yes, there is a program, a summer program geared towards incoming ninth graders that prepares them for work at Girls High. I just wanted to make that known. And also another question was about Central and their library. Central has a very active alumni association, and they have created an endowment for their library, and they will have a librarian in perpetuity because they have endowed that. And it started years and years and years ago. However, we don't have the same advantage. So Central is one of the few schools in Philadelphia with an operating library and librarian. Mr. Gordon, I think there are 3. Can you confirm that there are 3 schools in the entire school district of Philadelphia that have working libraries?
I know, sorry, I can't confirm that as far as at the high school's level, so I'd have to look into that. I can find, I can easily,
Not at the high school level, at
Just-
every level. There are only 3.
as far
Those
as,
were the statistics that I was given, and one is an elementary school that just
as far as like,
renovations.
as far as like functioning libraries or librarians. Cause there are schools that have library spaces and they're filled with books and they're teacher directed, and then there are schools that they have librarians, or or there are staff members that are called like sissels. I believe something to that effect, where they're not full librarians, but they do staff the libraries for our schools. So
Okay, that we have done or tried to institute the same opening the library at least once a week with alumni volunteers.
Yes.
So we do not and have not had a librarian in 12 years.
Okay, just looking at some more of these other questions. In the chat, Marcia, in the chat, which if you haven't already, can you drop your email address, even though I'm sure a lot of people have it, using the same, so the same way you all receive the information about this webinar, we will send out again, we'll resend out the ways you can support, what you can do, the call to action, what you can do. We'll resend out the link to Alma Base. We will send out like a template for a letter that can go out. And like a bullet point or whatever, because people are asking for talking points for letters. We'll send out, I'm trying to keep all this written down, so sorry. As I'm promising, I want to make sure I'm promising it. So bullet points for letters, template. We'll send out dates of the Board of Ed meetings and the link to sign up. Alma Base. Let's see what else is being asked about. Yes, Central was subjected to the lottery. We're gonna send out the link to register to speak virtually. I'm gonna tell you how much the dues are, and then I'm gonna tell you they're going up very quickly. Dues are $50, limited time only. They're going up very quickly, so get in while you fit in, because they're about to go up. Let's see. Oh, we got someone's gonna mentor. Great. All right, let's see. So, and I do want to address this, and because Deanna's on the call, she's with the PTDA, even though we're not tasked with working with the parents, because we have a really good, strong working relationship with Deanna, and she's trying to work with the parents, we are going to pass along all this information to her to work with the parents. But, just like we have our challenges working with alumni, she has challenges working with parents, but we're going to support her in any way we can. So, I don't want to not disregard that comment, but I wanted to acknowledge that. Deanna, did you have your hand up again? I'm sorry.
I didn't. I also did not see the comment, but
Okay.
just let me know if you need me to address anything.
Yeah,
specific
no problem.
about what we're doing.
Okay. All right. Yes, we do have county fair and all the other traditions that make us special, and we would love for you all to come back if you could. And Charlita said they are having their International Coalition of Girls School Conference in Philadelphia in 2025, which we will probably peripherally at least be involved with, which will be cool. Some folks will be at Career Day tomorrow. I'm not sure exactly who, but some folks will be. Yes, there will be a united effort. Well, definitely we have girls attending. And we're trying to get some folks signed up. I'll tell you, we have at least one board member who goes to every single school board meeting. So we have a presence at every school board meeting, but we definitely trying to get more folks to go. And let's see. Marcia, are girls still able to do shadow day? I'm sorry, that's a good question. I don't know if that still happens.
I know they did it last year. I don't know if it was done this year.
We can find that out. Okay. So I think, like I said, the things that we said we're going to send out. So we'll send we will send out these things through the email. We'll also post um, on our website these things that we've been talking about and post on social media what we've been talking about. But again, I really, really can't stress enough how, I mean, the fact that over 200 of you for the last almost 90 minutes have been here and, have stayed on, have listened, have posted your questions. This means a lot, right? This shows your commitment. This shows your interest. This shows how much you want to work for our school. But please, can you imagine if everyone on this called 3 of your friends, right? You're talking about almost 1,000 people. Wait, is that right? I'm a math teacher. I should know that. That's almost 1,000 people, right? That you can get engaged in this process. That's a huge number. Call 3 of your classmates, right? I know me, like I've got my sister right here, and I'm just going to call a couple of my girls and say, look, I need you all to do this. What a difference we could make, right? With this letter writing campaign, with mentoring our girls, with having some people sign up and become members of the Alumni Association. What a difference just this call would make if everybody did that. And that's what we're asking. And that's what we'll hopefully continue to ask. And that's what we'll see is increased engagement over the next weeks, months. And as this new principal comes in, we're going to have her be engaged with the process, especially, that she'll be an alumna, and we'll continue this. And hopefully this is gonna gain feet, and we're gonna have momentum with this, and we're gonna really see some changes happening. So I'm grateful on behalf of the Alumni Association. Thank you to all of you. Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Thank you, Deanda. Thank you to the board members that are here. But most importantly, thank you to our alumni. Thank you to the students that are on this call. Thank you to the staff members that are on this call. Thank you for taking the time out of your schedules to be here for our alma mater, for our students, for our girls, for you, for your classmates, for your best friends, for your sisters, for your moms, for your aunties. Thank you for doing this. And please, if you have questions, comments, or concerns, that's what we're here for. Reach out to us. You have our email addresses. You have ways to contact. We're going to reach back out to you. Let's stay engaged. Let's stay in communication. Let's keep this ball rolling. Okay? Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening, and we look forward to seeing more of you in the future. Thank you.